maybe, because today when we read about it, 39, Germany goes to war in September. I think you're born April 25th. So 5 months.
January 10th.
January 10th. Okay, so you're born January 10th?
Yeah.
Okay, so January, online says April 25th, by the way. And I know you're pretty private with your,
Yeah.
So January 10th, you're born. Few months later, the country goes to war. What is the conditions like where you're living? I know, of course, you don't remember that age, but
yes, you do, because there were such extremes. Pretty soon we went to sleep in the cellar. We broke the cellar wall in, so in case the house would collapse, we could go into the next neighbor, and so on, so on. They were all connected. So my mother. My father joined the Nazi party because he had to, was working. My mother was a major negative. And let me give you a story that is hard to believe. My father, we didn't hear from him. My parents didn't hear from him. But my grandfather, who hated Nazis, every morning came to my house. He lived in a different house. At 7 a.m., took the axe that was there from the wood chopping plant, and stayed behind the door and looked through the slot in the door, the old wooden door, because the chief Nazi went to work that morning. When he went to work, he stopped in the families where the son had fallen and informed them. And my grandfather was a unique character, said if our son died, he will die too. When he comes in here to report, he's going to die. So you think you don't know that as a kid? Opa is coming to take the axe. That was a normal daily routine. So you can't help but remember those things, or when there was the message that Hitler had been killed for a moment in the radio, my mother was in a grocery store buying grocery when it came, the Führer has been killed. For a moment that was out, and of course that changed a few minutes later. And my mother said, Gott sei Dank, thank God, it's time. She was arrested the next day.
Stop it.
Just for a day, because her uncle was a Nazi. So that's
my God.
That's what life was. There was nothing. But what was there at the same time, everything was still continue, still had something to eat. There still was kindergarten, even though when you had to walked into kindergarten, you had to greet the Hitler at the painting of Hitler. But it was all functioning somewhat. It's right after the war when nothing was functioning anymore. And there was a total breakdown because there was no control, there was nothing there. The interesting thing at the time, the Allies decided nobody who was a Nazi could work in a leadership role. Well, everybody who was in a leadership role, if you were running a water, you had to be a Nazi. You had to be a Nazi. Otherwise, you
killed.
So who do you put into these roles now? It was Patton, in fact, who said, no, we're not going to do that. We have to put the people back that understand the job. I mean, that's how, there was a total breakdown. There was no school. There was no transportation. There was nothing after the war, right after the war. So that was, and of course, those created such extreme moments that you do remember, no doubt.
Yeah, you see the inflation. There was some reports I saw that the price of bread could double every 2 hours, every 4 hours. Some weird stories that you would read about. So do you remember the day it was announced that Hitler died?
No, I don't remember, no. I only knew my mother was in trouble.
She got arrested.
Yeah.
And this was even on the right one. This is a day that she thought he died, that he didn't die.
For the moment was announced. Stauffenberg, who tried to kill him, thought he was dead. He announced, and it was open. That's how everybody was exposed, because they got a message he died. Consequently, everybody that was part of the plot, 20,000, exposed themselves, took over in various towns, and were killed afterwards. That's how they knew they were all involved. That huge plot, yeah.
20,000.
Yeah.
How do you, because when I'm seeing you speak, or I watch your interviews, or I sit down with you right now, or you're coming up to me, read this book, I'm going to help you change your life. You're a very positive figure, right? Your intensity, your energy, you've been married for many years, you're a man of faith, you speak in a very eloquent way. Even at that moment, were you staying positive? Was it your mom that helped you be positive?
My mom.
How would your mom make you positive?
Very positive about life, about everything.
In Germany at that time?
In Germany at the time.
Good for her.